hottest hitter on the planet right now. He's been on base 8 straight plate appearances, tries to keep that streak going tonight. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Milwaukee. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets take on the Brewers. Brandon Nimmo, his OPS is approaching 1,000. He just can't make outs right now. Hits, walks, extra base hits. He has been phenomenal.
Well, what has made Nimmo so special is not only the hits and getting on base and all of that, but we're talking about an offensively challenged team right now that is not hitting the ball in the ballpark. If you don't, you've got to put people on. And Nimmo has been the best breath of fresh air for this offense. On base 5 times last night, 8 times in a row. The record is Olerud at 15 in 1998. Go ahead, Nimmo, go get him.
Mickey Callaway said tonight Nimmo's going to stay in that leadoff spot even when Cespedes gets back. We'll see how that transpires. Meanwhile, Noah Syndergaard seems to be kicking into gear. He's won his last 2 starts.
Yeah, Syndergaard really just wants to continue what the Mets rotation has done one time through the 5-some. 31 innings pitched. The ERA is 0.58. 17 straight scoreless innings. Syndergaard is going against a team in his young career traditionally he's really good against.
Syndergaard has struck out 11 in each of his last 2 starts against the Brewers. He won't have to face Henry Aaron tonight, so that'll probably help his chances. Mets and Brewers, all the action coming up on SNY. Jackpot is now over $1.1 million. You could be the next big winner. By National Car Rental. Go national. Go like a pro. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. And by Hyundai. Get a great deal more than a great deal on an all-new Hyundai. See your Hyundai dealer today. Get to Citi Field for Free Shirt Friday, June 1st, when the Mets take on the Cubs. All fans in attendance will receive a Michael Conforto replica jersey, courtesy of Geico. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Well, Seth Lugo has been red hot, 15 consecutive scoreless innings out of the Mets bullpen, and he talked moments ago with Steve Gelbs.
Thanks so much, Gary. Seth Lugo has been so good out of that bullpen, a 1.84 ERA. And we talk about your success, Seth, But do you enjoy it? Do you like this role?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm helping the team win, then I'm enjoying it. You know, that's what it's all about. You know, we got somewhere we want to get to, and that's playing in October. And if I affect the team the most out of the bullpen, then yeah, that's where I want to be.
Certainly you've embraced this role, but initially, when you first get moved to the bullpen, expecting to be a starter after breaking spring, is there any sort of ego check, or do you dive all in right away?
Well, I mean, the day I found out I was going to the bullpen, I was a little disappointed. I was looking forward to that first start. You know, I had about a week I was looking forward to facing the Phillies that first start, and I had a game plan for them. So I was a little disappointed just in my preparation, but after a day, you know, I let it go and got on track with what I need to do, and that's be ready to go out of the bullpen every night. You
mentioned preparation. How does your preparation and arm care change as a starter versus being a reliever now?
I mean, it's big time. It's a big difference. Biggest thing is, you know, listening to my arm and really trying to understand how I'm feeling and what I need to do to be ready. So it's definitely an adjustment, but I think I've passed the point of that, and I'm comfortable with my routine now.
Have you adjusted how you pitch at all as well?
I mean, may throw a few more curveballs, may you know, throw a little harder, let something loose a little more often, but really, I try to stick with the same plan I would start. You know, attack guys, you know, get ahead of count, and you know, execute pitches.
Is there anything different when you come in and you pitch, you know, one inning or pitch a couple of outs versus when you pitch two, maybe even more than that the day after? Does your arm feel any different?
Well, I definitely have a little soreness, you know, after outings, especially, you know, multiple innings. But the thing for me is to really just stay on top of my stretching and my program. That, you know, I don't have 5 days to have a set routine, but I do the same stuff, just you know, different timing depending on how often I pitch.
Seth, appreciate the time as always. Good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, Steve.
All right, Gary. 15 scoreless innings consecutively for Seth Lugo. He tries to keep that going here tonight. Gary?
All right, Steve. I really like listening to Seth talk about pitching. He's very thoughtful about his craft.
That's right.
See if he gets an opportunity tonight behind Noah Syndergaard as the Mets go for their second straight in Milwaukee. First pitch coming up.
Don't let them make you frown. Life is good if you're wearing a smile. This time is the right time, and the next time is the right time. Life is good if you're wearing a smile.
Well, the happiest man in baseball has had plenty to smile about lately, and Met fans have had plenty to smile about along with him.
I love when we bring Broadway to Milwaukee. Very nice.
Well, 8 straight plate appearances. Nimmo's gotten on base. Junior Guerra's first pitch of the night is in for a strike, and we're underway.
Well, the Brewers are 4-4 in Junior Guerra starts. You see his Toyota numbers. Good ERA. His split finger fastball is really his best pitch.
Check swing grounder down to third. Travis Shaw charges, and Nimmo's streak comes to an end on a close play at first base. 1 out. So John Oliver's record is safe for another go-round.
Throw did not have a lot on it, and Aguilar is very lucky. He pulled his hand out. He got hit by Nimmo, but not full contact.
Not like Todd Hundley hitting Cliff Floyd.
That's right.
Which is the worst one I ever saw. Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, 1 for 5 last night, including his 15th double of the year. He's one off the league lead in doubles, hitting a .307 for the year. Here's your Geico Mets starting lineup. Same lineup as last night, other than the pitcher. Mets put up 5 runs and 13 hits last night. A breakout night for what has been a struggling offensive team, facing a guy they have never hit. And that's grounded behind the bag. A fair ball. Cabrera didn't think so. He didn't run, and Aguilar makes the play unassisted. First base umpire Marty Foster with the call. And Cabrera's retired, 2 out.
Well, Cabrera got caught umpiring there. See DiSarcina on the phone because it went past the bag. It's not reviewable.
It's not a reviewable play because it was in front of the umpire.
That's right.
In order for a fair foul call to be reviewable, it has to land behind the umpire. That's why when people talk about Santana's no-hitter, as you look at that play again, the call that Adrian Johnson made on the Beltran foul ball / not foul ball, that would not have been reviewable under the current rule.
That's right.
Here's Wilmer Flores, and he takes a strike.
We showed that replay. It looked like the second bounce was a funny bounce, and it kept it maybe in play.
Wilmer 1 for 3 last night, drove in a couple of runs.
Marty Foster with a tough one right away.
Junior Guerra has had a habit of getting off to good starts in games. First time through the batting order this year, opponents are hitting .119 against him. Only Justin Verlander and Jacob deGrom have done better than Junior Guerra first time through the order this year.
And that being said, he's more of a 5-inning pitcher, so he doesn't last too deep into games.
And a fastball off the plate, 2-1. Junior Guerra, one-time Met farmhand back in 2008 before he was hit with a PED suspension and then was out of organized ball for 6 years. It was quite the route back for Guerra.
Defensively for the Brewers, who made some changes today. Manny Pena behind the plate. He's throwing runners out at a 33% clip. Saladino is going to be the everyday shortstop because Arcia was sent down. Yelich back in his familiar place in left field. Kane in center, and Domingo Santana had a day off last night, back in the lineup.
As long as you don't sit him on Sunday.
That's right. He's good on Sunday.
Fouls off the fastball, still 2-2.
You know, when we did the lineup, I didn't mention Travis Shaw back in the lineup. They're a totally different team when they face right-handed pitching. They've struggled against left-handed starters as they did against Mats last night, but they are a pretty solid offensive club against righties.
Their splits are very similar to the Mets splits against lefties and righties. Jay Bruce would be next. 2-2 to Flores, and he grounds one toward the middle, past Saladino and into center field. And Flores has the first hit of the night. Saladino, a solid player, probably doesn't have the range that Orlando Arcia does, and Arcia's been playing terrific shortstop but not hitting, but they set him down because of his offense, not his defense.
Yeah, I think Saladino's been playing well enough that they can send Arcia down to get his stroke right. But I said it last night, this ballpark is really a hitter's park. It's really quick in the infield. You saw it there on that Flores grounder.
So now Jay Bruce, who has more home runs against the Brewers than he has against any other team, 35 against Milwaukee in his career. It's kind of like the Brewers version of Pat Burrell and what he used to do to the Mets.
That's right.
Bruce 1 for 5 last night, hit a couple of balls hard, but it has been a real struggle for Jay to get any kind of consistency going, hitting just .232 for the year, only 3 home runs through his first 151 at bats.
I got him 7 for his last 38 with no home runs and no RBI. The 4th spot, if you're a Mets offensive player, you don't want to be in there, the cleanup spot this year.
Well, the Mets are on a pace right now to set a major league record for the lowest OPS from the cleanup spot ever. That's not a good place to be. Only 1 home run out of that 4th spot in the lineup all year for a team that's built to hit home runs. Bruce smacks one to center field. Kane going back to the warning track. Has enough room to make the catch, and that retires the side. A hit and 1 left. Noah Syndergaard takes the mound when we come back. May not go down Bernie's slide.
Oh, man. My personality makes me feel like I got to try now.
Of course, Bernie Brewer slides down that little chute. Used to slide at County Stadium into a beer mug.
That's
now
right.
He just goes onto a platform. You know, the team is called the Brewers. It did make sense that he was going into a beer mug. Noah Syndergaard making his 11th start of the year, and he's won his last 2.
Yeah, Land Rover numbers above and beyond for Syndergaard. They're waiting for him to start that next stretch. He has pitched awfully well, ERA under 3, but I would say he hasn't had one of those 3 or 4 start runs where he pitches at his best.
Last start against Arizona, 7 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, and the 7 innings was the part you look at first. Lorenzo Cain pulls 1 foul, and it's 1-2. There's the Brewers starting lineup brought to you by Hyundai. Travis Shaw sat last night against the lefty. He's got 12 home runs to lead the Brewers. Jonathan VR back in the lineup as well after sitting last night. And Saladino at short with Arcia having been sent down. Rosario gets in front of Kane's grounder and throws him out, one away.
Defensively for the Mets, you can see Mesoraco was a big part of the conversation from Mickey Callaway today about his leadership skills. Wilmer Flores is going to get a lot of time at third base until Frazier comes back, and that'll be the outfield you'll see for the most part until Cespedes comes back.
This is a little test for Mesoraco tonight. It's the first time since he's joined the Mets that he's starting 3 straight games, and with his lack of playing time over the last few years with injuries, that's something that Mickey Callaway wanted to see how he reacted after playing 3 straight physically to the workload. Meanwhile, Kevin Plawecki's down in Vegas. He's played 2 games on rehab. There's a chance the Mets could have him as soon as the doubleheader on Monday in Atlanta. Christian Yelich 1 for 3 last night. And Syndergaard throws the slider low and in, and it's 1-1. Noah's pitching at Miller Park for the first time ever. He's faced the Brewers 3 times in his career, all at Citi Field, and it's been absolutely dominant, including a game earlier this year when he struck out 8 Brewers in a row en route to an 11 strikeout performance. Yelich lines one the other way. Nimmo toward the line, diving and makes the catch. Nimmo's defense is getting better and better every day, and that's the best play he's made yet.
Especially on that corner. You know, he's moved around a lot, but his jumps in left field are by far much better than the ones he gets in center and right. And diving to his right, just a huge play. That gets by him, it's a triple. Good reaction from Noah. I see you.
Rare shot of Nimmo in which he's not smiling.
Trying to catch his breath.
Still the happiest man in baseball.
Yes, he is.
2 out and nobody on. Here's Jesus Aguilar, 0 for 3 last night. He came into the series raging hot, and he fouls the first pitch away. Brewers have a little bit of a logjam now with Ryan Braun back from the disabled list. Aguilar red hot. So Craig Counsell's got lineup decisions to make. Braun's on the bench today.
Braun doesn't really play first base, right? He just likes to play in the outfield. He does play first?
He's played first this year. And that had kept Aguilar from playing every day. But the way Aguilar's going, you can't sit him down. And he strikes out on 3 pitches against Syndergaard. Nasty slider to get him. Noah's got his first strikeout of the night in a 1-2-3 inning, thanks in part to a great catch by Nimmo. I mean, there's another slide that you can use. Players can use Second inning, Michael Conforto leads off against Junior Guerra and takes a strike. Michael 1 for 4 last night. Conforto, Mesoraco, and Gonzalez against Guerra in the second. And Conforto pops one up. Saladino retreating. Yelich calls him off. 1 away. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription allows you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Devin Mesoraco hit the ball hard all night last night. 2 for 5. Drove in a run. And he flies this one to shallow left. Saladino out to call this time. And he puts it away, and quickly Guerra has 2 outs.
Interesting, the Mets are being a little aggressive here early. Guerra's the kind of guy, because of that split finger, you want to try to hit his fastball if he's throwing for strikes early in the count.
He doesn't overuse his split. He throws it 14% of the time, but he throws it as a wipeout pitch. And he's averaged almost a strikeout per inning. Adrian Gonzalez 1 for 5 last night, so his Miller Park numbers came down a tad, but still over 400 for his career in this park, the best of any visiting player. And this month has been kind to Adrian. He's hitting .308 in the month of May. They give him a huge gap in left center field. And, you know, when Adrian was in his heyday, that was his money spot.
It was.
And I don't think I've seen a hitter being given that big a gap this year.
But his numbers here in this park are so good, he's done a lot of damage maybe to the pull side.
And I think he's more of a pull hitter now.
Agreed.
And I think, you know, because he's an older player, he just turned 36. I think he tries to pick out pitches and, you know, start a little bit earlier, because that's what you have to do when you get older.
Anticipate is a word. Cheat is another word to get there.
Syndergaard, 8th in the order, on deck.
So the sequence of pitches you've seen: fastball in, fastball away to get the count even. Now you might see that good split finger. He shook off of the split finger. He wants to come in with a fastball.
It was interesting. Pena shaking his head to have Guerra shake it off, to sow some confusion in Gonzalez's mind. And Gonzalez lifts one to left. Yelich toward the line. And that retires the side. 8-pitch inning for Junior Guerra. Syndergaard back to the mound, no score. sausage, not to be confused with your racing sausage.
Wow.
Inside the ballpark, outside on the grill. It's sausage heaven.
Love it.
You know, Milwaukee's big into sausages.
Yeah.
But the sausage capital of the world is Sheboygan.
Oh.
Sheboygan, Wisconsin is the world capital of sausages.
This is just the regional capital? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, it filters down here to Milwaukee. There are the racing sausages. We'll see them later. Travis Shaw leads off the home second. Shaw with 12 home runs, tied for third in the National League. 31 driven in after hitting 31 and driving in 101 last year in his first year in Milwaukee. What a pickup he's turned out to be. And he hits one deep to center field, chasing Conforto back to the track, back at the wall. It's out of here. Travis Shaw back of the lineup and clearing the fence for his 13th home run of the year to give the Brewers the early 1-0 lead. Travis Shaw strikes quickly. Is that a thing?
Confetti?
Confetti in the dugout?
That's hilarious. This is not. Fastball is supposed to be away, but it's up. And the ball almost kind of beat him, but with a short stroke, he got it in the air.
Now Domingo Santana laces a base hit into left. So back-to-back hits against Syndergaard to start the second.
I'm trying to tell you folks before, this team against right-handed pitching is a lot different team than the one you saw last night.
Well, the Brewers will not be shut out tonight. They were shut out last night for the 9th time this year. 9 of their 20 losses have been shutouts. 45%, right? Since the dead ball era, 1920, no team has had more than 30% of their losses come by a shutout. And they've had 45% at this relatively early juncture.
5 out of those 9 were left-handed starting pitchers. John Lester, Freeland, 2 by Quintana, and Matz last night.
There's Jonathan VR, the switch hitter, and he takes low for ball 1. VR pinch hit last night. Much better left-hand hitter than right. So was out of the lineup last night. Good curveball by Noah, and it's 1-1.
Well, shutouts are going to affect the Brewers' run differential, Gary. So we have to. 31-20 though on this year.
I mean, that's the thing. The shutouts haven't hurt their overall mark. They've got a 3-game lead coming into the day in the National League Central. Double play ball right to Cabrera, and Rosario's got the easy part. 4-6-3 double play, 2 out.
Well, good hitting by VR. He hit that right on the nose. A scorcher, 1 hopper to Cabrera. Easy turn of double play.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now the catcher Manny Pena, who was 0 for 2 last night with a pair of walks. The Brewers made a change in their backup catcher situation. They designated Jet Bandy for assignment and brought up the well-traveled defensive specialist Eric Kratz. And Pena lines one the other way, and Bruce will have to play it on the hop. A 2-out hit.
For Noah, you got and the Mets and Devin Mesoraco, you got to notice a trend. Really trying to get on that fastball from Syndergaard. Swing early.
4 straight hard hit balls against Noah.
Good swing by Pena to get on top of that ball. Get under it, it would have been a fly ball to right.
Now Tyler Saladino. So they designated Jet Bandy for assignment, and I was heartbroken when I heard that.
Heartbroken is a strong word.
I was heartbroken because here's the thing. I figured Jet Bandy was going to play at some point during this series, and I had this great offbeat note about him that now I can't use.
Well, you can use it.
Okay, I'll use it.
Okay.
Jet Bandy's father was the guy who taught Tom Cruise how to flip the bottles in the movie Cocktail.
Oh, really? Who's the Australian actor in that? Can't remember his name, but Brian something. But so he taught him because his dad was a bartender.
He must have had the skills, and he taught Tom Cruise how to flip the bottles. So there you go.
There's your note.
That's the Jet Bandy note. Now it's lost to the DFA.
In the ether.
By the way, not the most notable DFA in baseball today.
Yeah, right.
With the Red Sox having placed Hanley Ramirez on the shelf long before he can vest for his $22 million option for next year.
Yeah, he needed 497 plate appearances. He was 0 for his last 21, being outplayed by Mitch Moreland, the first baseman.
And a pickoff try, and Pena was very fortunate to get back. He was hung out to dry and somehow able to scramble back.
Well, the throw was to the left of Gonzalez, so it wasn't on the bag. If it had been on the bag, he would have been out. But he had to reach for it and then slap the tag down. I mean, shouldn't get thrown out. It's not going anywhere.
Saladino takes a slider off the plate, and it's 2-2.
After the DFA of Hanley today, Hanley, Sandoval, and Rosny Castillo, $45 million of dead money for the Red Sox.
So the Red Sox are paying all their salary.
Yeah.
Sandoval can pitch too. 2-2. The curveball misses, and it's a full count to Saladino. So nothing coming easily for Syndergaard here in the second after a 1-2-3 first. He got helped out by Nimmo's play. One hard hit ball in that inning, but 4 straight hard hit balls in this inning, and fortunate to be down only a run. Pena will get set to run. Gonzalez playing a step behind him. And Saladino takes the curveball for strike 3 called. Side retired. Second strikeout for Syndergaard as he freezes Saladino with the hook. That was a little unexpected.
In the town, you won Milwaukee's heart. We paraded you around. In 1957, the series you did win, and the town was in a spin. Oh, there's no joy left now in Milwaukee, in Milwaukee, in Milwaukee. Oh, there's no joy left now in Milwaukee. You Braves have scalped this town.
Well, they were only here for 13 years. The Milwaukee Braves arrived from Boston in '54, left for Atlanta in '66, left a World Series championship behind. And there was no baseball here in Milwaukee until the Brewers arrived in 1970.
Our truck is fired up tonight. They are pulling out all the stops. I'm starting to think a little bit like you and I are really in their way for what they want to do tonight.
We can stay quiet.
Awesome job, guys.
Syndergaard 2 for 20 at the plate this year, and he's late on the Guerra fastball, 0-2. So Noah gave up a run. It's big news.
Right.
Mets starting pitchers had gone 18 straight innings without allowing a run. The last 4 for Wheeler, 7 for DeGrom, 6 for Matz, and first inning for Syndergaard. And that streak ended on the Travis Shaw home run. And Guerra has a strikeout to start the third inning, his first strikeout of the night. The Junior Guerra story is just fascinating. We mentioned he was a Met farmhand, PED suspension, and nobody would touch him. He was out of organized baseball. He played in independent leagues. He played in Mexico. He went to South America. And the last team he played for before he got back into organized ball, before the White Sox picked him up, was for a team in the Italian league that wasn't even in Italy.
What?
The team that Guerra played for in the Italian league was actually located in San Marino, which is an independent nation, which is landlocked inside of Italy.
That's right.
He played for the San Marino team, and that's where the White Sox found him before they picked him up and brought him back into the ranks of organized ball. The Brewers got him on waivers from the White Sox, and then he burst onto the big league scene 2 years ago as a 31-year-old rookie who nobody had heard of for years, and he had a fantastic year.
It couldn't have been a scout went to see him. It must have been someone on vacation in Italy that wanted to go see a ball game and said, boy,
in San Marino.
Boy, there's a good kid pitching.
You know how many people live in San Marino? The whole nation?
I don't know.
33,000. It's 24 square miles. Highest per capita income in the world. That's drilled to center field by Rosario. Back goes Kane near the wall, and it's out of here. A long home run off the bat of Ahmed Rosario. His third home run of the season to tie the game. That was a big-time clout. 2 hits last night for Ahmed, and now a very long home run.
Well, we hear from Pat Rustler and others say that Rosario in time is going to have some scary power, and he exhibited it here. I mean, the big boys, that's where they hit the home runs. You know, this is what the Mets were doing early when they got off that 11-1, 12-2 start. If they gave up a run, they answered right away.
So Rosario gets the Mets even, just the 4th home run Guerra's given up in 9 starts this year. And now Nimmo, who made an out his first time up, that's big news. Hit a slow ground ball, and Travis Shaw threw him out from third base. He gets under one to shallow right center. Santana angling in. And Nimmo's retired, 2 out.
I was listening to the manager of the Brewers, Craig Counsell, last night when he was talking about his starting pitcher, Zach Davies. And he said, well, he did pretty good. He just couldn't get that Nimmo kid out.
He'll force them to learn how to pronounce his name.
That's right.
It's not like the fish. Here's Asdrubal Cabrera, who grounded out to first base his first time. So Garrett 2 years ago, when he finally got to the big leagues, made 20 starts, 9-3, 2.81. So good over those 20 starts that last year he was the Brewers opening day starter, and he won 1 game all year. That first start he got hurt. He hurt his calf, I think it was covering first base, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
And he didn't come back till the end of May, and he just was never the same. He pitched one really good game all year, and of course, it was against the Mets. He threw 6 scoreless innings. It was his only win of the season last year.
He's got a sneaky fastball. At times he can get to 94, occasionally touch 95, and he's not a, well, I wouldn't say he's not tall. He's 6 feet tall or so, but he's stocky, strong. And big hands, big legs. Uses all of that 6 foot 230, 240 to use.
And lots of stamps on his passport.
Yeah, there you go.
That's hit through the hole. A base hit for Cabrera as he beat the shift. And the Mets have their second hit of the inning and their third of the night.
Well, the way to beat the shift when you have 3 infielders on their right side is just hit it hard enough. No one can get to it. That's what Cabrera's done all year long.
Sometimes there are hits on the ground.
Yeah, sometimes, not many times.
Wilmer Flores had a base hit to center field his first time up. So the Mets with a run against Guerra. It's only the second run they've ever scored against him in 3 career starts. Second earned run anyway. Wilmer playing third base again tonight. And the breaking ball popped up. Easy play for Aguilar. And that retires the side. But the Mets get even on the Ahmed Rosario home run. Rosario, who recently broke a 200+ at-bat home run drought, hits his 3rd of the year. And he struck it well. 1-1 in the 3rd in Milwaukee. Let us know that they're here. So you and Keith and Ed apparently are very near and dear to their hearts.
Where did they know you was Ed here, Gary? I don't know.
Guerra hits a broken back grounder for Cabrera, and that's the first out. My theory is that they just didn't have enough room on the sign for 4 letters, so they went with the only name they could come up with that only requires 2.
Oh, Ed.
Because Gary just would have gone right off the side of the placard there.
You know, the very bottom it says especially. Should we let our fans know what's at the bottom there?
I know who it is because
Ron Keith and especially Haji. It says underneath that sign. So Keith, The cat has made it to Milwaukee.
So did they get the cat's name right?
Yes, they did. The only name they didn't get was yours, Gary, really.
No respect. It's Lorenzo Cain, who grounded to short his first time up.
When Gary and I do the games here, we're really close to the fans. So Mets fans will come up and say hello, and they do it the same way every time. Hey, we love you guys. We love listening to you guys here in Milwaukee. You're the greatest. Where's Keith? Every single time.
Exactly right. And you know, mostly we just tell them he's with the cat.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Is it really a cat?
I don't know. It's quite a ruse if there's not.
Kane flies one to shallow right. Bruce is going to have to play that on the hop. Little duck start for Kane for the 4th hit against Syndergaard, the first one that hasn't been hit hard. Here's your Ford leaderboard. Strikeout to walk ratio. Zach Greinke at the top of the board, almost 10-1. That's amazing. Syndergaard doing pretty well at 5-1.
Greinke did that when he went 19-3 that one year for the Dodgers 3 years ago.
Best ever for the Mets.
It's got to be Saberhagen.
Brett Saberhagen in 1994 walked 13 batters and struck out 154. He had more wins than walks. Runner goes. Mesoraco's throw is high, and it's a stolen base for Kane, his 11th of the year.
Well, we went into the game last night saying that was going to be a challenge for Steven Matz. He took care of business, but Kane running got a huge jump off first base. Mickey Callaway addressed that. Noah Syndergaard's been much quicker to the plate this year, but still not quick enough to get Kane there.
And Kane's still an elite base runner at age 32. So a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Yelich hit a drive to left that Nimmo made a great play on in the first inning. And he hits this one back to Noah underneath his glove and into center field. Kane turns third and heads home, and he'll score without a throw. Yelich with the RBI single. The stolen base proves productive for Milwaukee, and they lead 2-1.
That's the best description, Gary. The steal was productive. This kind of baseball still works. That's 2 balls hit right on the nose by Yelich. The great play by Nimmo, but here drives in the second Brewer run. Lorenzo Cain can fly for a big man.
So Yelich drives in his 20th run of the year, and the Brewers are back on top. Now Jesus Aguilar, who struck out on 3 pitches against Syndergaard his first time.
It's the hardest I've seen Syndergaard hit early in the game so far this year.
And is that more a matter of fastball location than anything else?
It's definitely location, but I think it's also pitch selection with the fastball. Almost all the hits have been on the fastball, so he might want to think how he fooled Saladino with that 3-2 curveball. Spin the ball a little more against this team.
Maybe trying to get ahead with a first pitch curveball.
Yeah.
Yelich 3 steals and 4 tries this year. And he's running.
Late start.
Mesoraco's throw is a good one, but not in time. Cabrera wants the dugout to check it out.
Yelich did not get a great jump, so Mesoraco had a chance on this one, but the ball down in the dirt, and he really didn't get a lot on the throw on the transfer. And Yelich is safe. Tag was on his left oblique, and his fingers get on the bag first.
Yep. And no challenge by the Mets. So 2 steals in the inning against Syndergaard, who's now given up a dozen this year. And another runner in scoring position for Milwaukee. That slider's been very effective against Aguilar in his first 2 at bats.
Yelich just thinking about it. Good move by Syndergaard with the reverse turn there. Cabrera's holding him, but then trying to get back into position because Aguilar has a good ability to hit the ball to the right side of the infield.
Yelich dancing off the bag, and Aguilar pulls it foul, and it's 1-2. Not only hit home runs, leading the league in that category, but they steal bases, and obviously the addition of Lorenzo Cain has helped in that regard, but they led in both last year as well.
Yeah.
Tied for the league leading home runs with the Mets.
Mets don't have the stolen base component that the Brewers do.
Well, Syndergaard struck out Aguilar with the slider the last time. He goes back to it again. Flied out to shallow right, tagging at second Yelich. Bruce makes the catch, and Yelich will stay put. 2 out. So 2 out of the inning, and now Travis Shaw will open the scoring tonight by hitting one over the center field fence for his 13th home run of the year. The Brewers got Travis Shaw from the Red Sox in a deal for the reliever Tyler Thornburg 2 winters ago. Thornburg has yet to throw a pitch for the Red Sox. They're hoping he will sometime this year, but it's been a very, very lopsided trade so far. Toward the middle of the diamond, and it gets by Cabrera into center field, and that'll bring in another run. Shaw drives in his 2nd run of the night as Yelich scores to make it 3-1 Milwaukee.
Well, this was a first pitch changeup from Noah Syndergaard, and Shaw stayed right on it. He's red hot right now. Cabrera just could not get to it. The dive to try to keep it in the infield, but could not get there. Sometimes you'll hear infielders say on a ball like that, you have your instinct is to get to it to make a play at first, but there's not going to be a play. Sometimes you have to take a little different angle to catch it a little deeper to keep it in play. Had to knock the wind out of himself, Struble.
Dave Allen has made a trip to the mound to talk to Syndergaard. So after a turn through the rotation in which Mets starting pitchers gave up just 2 earned runs in 31 innings, Syndergaard has been whacked around a little bit in the first 3 innings tonight. And now Santana, who had a first pitch base hit his first time up, and he goes after a first pitch curveball, 0-1.
Chuck was telling us earlier that the Brewers last year had 7 players who had 10 or more home runs and 10 or more steals. That's a good offense. They had to do both.
Shaw has not attempted a steal yet this year.
He's a little bit like Goldschmidt for the Diamondbacks. Kind of a surprise every once in a while. Stolen base. It's Carlos Sabello giving him the information, first base coach.
And Santana takes it low, 2-1. Santana was a nice surprise for the Brewers last year. At 278, 30 home runs, 371 on base percentage, not off to nearly that kind of start this year. He was the guy that the Brewers wound up getting instead of Wilmer Flores when they traded Carlos Gomez at the deadline in 2015.
To the Astros, right? Stuff just shooting across the screen. Never know.
Nice car.
Very nice.
Shaw will run. Gonzalez holding him on, leaving that hole open. And Santana takes on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Side retired. Mike McClinsky says got the corner. Syndergaard has his 3rd strikeout, but the Brewers lead 3-1. Beat one, the Brewers franchise record for most inside the park home runs.
Wow. I mean, I have a thought right off the bat because he was here a long time and is in the Hall of Fame.
There's that guy.
Yeah.
There's the other guy that he played with who was also here a long time.
That's right.
Jay Bruce flying to center his first time up. Mets now down 3-1 against Junior Guerra. Gave up a home run to Rosario in the 3rd. Now faces Bruce, Conforto, and Mesoraco in the 4th.
When you think of the Brewers, you don't think of really anyone with tons and tons of speed, do you? And they're
well, Tommy Harper, but that was back in the early days.
That's right.
I think more of a home run hitter.
Yeah.
But you know, Yount and Molitor and Gantner, those guys could all run. 3-1 to Bruce. I mean, I would think he would be in that group, but you never know.
Well, as the Brewers are shifting, Tyler Saladino pinch hit inside the park home run when he was traded over here to the Brewers.
It's probably not him. It's only been here 2 weeks. 3-2 to Bruce.
Time spent and inside the park home runs, he's good.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see his top speed. Was it over 30 feet per second?
I'm off the mailing list now.
Oh, you got blocked?
Yeah, I got blocked. I'm off the mailing list. They won't send me anything. I dare question.
3-2 coming, and Bruce gets under one to center field. Very high, and Kane waving some gnats away, perhaps, waiting for it to come down. And he makes the play. What was that? New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Fidelis Care. Here today, here tomorrow, here to stay. By Purple Bricks. Whether you're buying or selling your home, go to purplebricks.com and save yourself from real misery. And by the State Farm agent of the game, Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat at patcawley.com. Oh, some old-time Brewers stuff. Season Cooper.
Ben Ogilvy.
Grounded down to first by Conforto. That's a foul ball. It's another close play for Marty Foster to call. Called the Cabrera one fair, much to Dribble's dismay. He calls this one foul.
Did you see the face he made? Like, wow. I mean, is this going to happen all night?
Marty wasn't here yesterday. He joined the crew tonight. Not sure where he came in from, but he was probably thinking, I'll have an easy night at first base. Get me ready for doing the plate tomorrow. I wonder if umpires really think that way. You know, like third base is considered the position that has the least involvement.
Yeah, because you have all the close plays at first base, possibly. Bang, bang. I don't think umpires think that way. I mean, my dad was an umpire. That's how he made some extra dough. And they are just, they're so game for the game. You know what I mean? They're wired to wherever they are to.
Conforto hooks one down the right field line toward the corner near the wall. It's out of here. Michael Conforto with his 5th home run of the year gets the Mets back to within a run.
Well, this is a great hitter's park, and if you get it on the fat of the bat, it has a chance to go each and every time. Conforto was completely fooled on the split finger from Guerra, and just out on his front foot, one-handed. Let's go with the bat, but he caught it on the fat part of the bat, and he pulled it.
It worked.
Yes, it did.
Here's Devin Mesoraco.
I mean, completely fooled. Just swiped that by Conforto.
I mean, you wouldn't think that swing would produce that result. Mesoraco popped to short his first time up, so home runs by Rosario and Conforto tonight, after the Mets won without a home run last night. And Mesoraco pops it up, shallow center, and Kane ambling in. 2 out.
You know, this one stayed flat from Guerra, the split finger. See it coming out of his hand. He's got that index finger right on the seam, and the ball just ran straight across the strike zone. But still not an awful pitch to produce that kind of result.
Well, Conforto right now will take any positive result. It's just been so hard for him to get any kind of consistency going. There's Gonzalez, who flied to left his first time up. And held the swing in time, 1-0.
Giving the scouting report on what he threw him.
Yeah, just stick your bat out. Might work for you too. Well, I mean, it's beyond trite at this point to say the Mets need for Bruce and Conforto to get going. Two guys who combined for 63 home runs last year and have now hit a total of 8 through almost a third of the season. Gonzalez pops one up. Shaw retreating. So is Saladino. Coming in is Yelich, and Yelich takes charge of it to retire the side. Guerra keeps getting the Mets to hit the ball in the air, and Conforto got one in the air, and it left. 3-2 Milwaukee. Just getting ready for the big race. They don't run until the 6th inning, but it's a big event every night here in Milwaukee.
We got some prizes, little surprises for our fans tonight. So
is that
stick
right?
around, yeah.
Well,
stick around.
The Bratwurst won last night. 3-2 Milwaukee as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Jonathan VR hit a scorching ground ball into a double play his first time up. There have been a lot of hard hit balls against Syndergaard tonight. He's given up 6 hits and 3 runs over the first 3 innings. And VR pops one up. Gonzalez waiting for it to come down. 1 out.
2 curveballs to start that at bat for Syndergaard.
A little different game plan for him. Well, apparently Ed is still in vogue.
Now you and I don't even make the pink sign.
Well, Keith and Haji obviously are front and center. Well, tweet of the game at SNY TV, hashtag SNY tweet. If you think you know who Ed is, could you let us know?
Eddie Coleman? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, my first thought.
Eddie Warman?
Eddie Warman in our truck.
Okay.
Maybe they're
planted.
Closet Californians.
Eddie's planting the signs.
Good slider by Syndergaard, and it's 1-1 to Pena. Pena had a base hit to right field his first time up. Flores backs off. He's got a long throw to make on a hop, and it skips on by Gonzalez, and Pena's safe at first. Well, Wilmer decided to back up on that ball, and it made it a much more difficult play.
You know, it was all right to back up on it, but what he needed to do is bounce it correctly. He threw it too far in the air, and it became a short hop for Gonzalez, and just impossible despite his ability to pick the balls out of the dirt. You want to try to use that AstroTurf kind of play. Bounce it where it's a nice clean bounce.
It'll be an error charge to Flores. So a 1-out base runner for the Brewers, and now Tyler Saladino took a call third strike his first time. And more traffic for Syndergaard, who really could have used an easy inning. Saladino, who was picked up from the White Sox in a cash deal April 19th. Guy who hit .178 for the White Sox last year. He pops one up in his shallow right. Bruce coming in. And there are 2 out.
You don't hear that very often, the cash deal. Usually there's players that go back and forth.
Player to be named later. International slot money.
Saw an interesting trade today, right? The Mariners made. Got themselves Alex Colomé.
You know, it's really
Denard
interesting.
Span.
The Mariners have had such a long postseason drought, and they've got a really good team this year. But they've got a really good team without Robbie Cano now for half a year, and they're in the same division as Houston and the Angels, and in the same league with the Yankees and the Red Sox,
right,
which makes, you know, the idea of them going for it this year a little interesting. That's bounced along the line to go foul off the bat of Guerra.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Well,
is it a year where you want to, you know, go for it when you're in that kind of circumstance, or would you be better off just letting things play out?
Well, they have a general manager that we know loves to make deals, and Jerry DiPoto.
And we love Jerry, one of my all-time faves.
Of course, but think about it this way: because of the money they are saving with Cano, they got themselves a closer and an outfielder, and Span and Colomé. But if these guys help them get into the postseason for the first time, what, 16, 17 years?
Since 01, yeah.
They have to go to the postseason without Cano.
Right.
Crazy, right?
It's tough. And, you know, I mean, Denard Span's not going to play second base for them.
Yeah.
They lost Cano, then D. Gordon broke his toe, like, what, the second game that they moved him there? Garris strikes out to end the inning. 4th strikeout for Syndergaard as he works around the error. We go to the 5th in Milwaukee with the Mets down a run. At 1:10 p.m. the first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a Mets fanny pack presented by Empire City Casino. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases post-game in the Mr. Met Dash presented by Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. Brewers franchise record for the most inside the park home runs. Niger Morgan?
I got Molitor.
That's
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's the obvious guy.
But Molitor had more speed, didn't he, than Yount, or they're about the same? I always think of Molitor's faster. Yeah.
Shortstop, center field.
That's right.
Noah Syndergaard leads off in the 5th inning. Struck out his first time up, and he drives one down the right field line toward the corner. Foul.
He must have caught that off the end of the bat, because when he made contact, it looked like it was going. Just hooked. One short hop the wall foul.
Noah's got 2 hits this year. They've both been doubles. He almost had himself another. 4 home runs in his career. 2 of them on one memorable night at Dodger Stadium.
Majestic drives.
Joined Walt Terrell in the Mets record book. Pitchers have hit 2 home runs in a game.
Crazy crowd.
And Syndergaard tried to stop, but he went around for strike 3. Second strikeout for Guerra. They've both been against Noah.
That's a split finger. Noah tried to hold up. I thought he did, but he does not on our replay.
Come on, pitcher's not going to get that call. You know that.
Shouldn't get it. Yeah, of course not.
So now Rosario, who put the first dent in Guerra with a home run in the 3rd inning, his 3rd of the year. What did I read? That when Rosario hit the 2 home runs, he became the 4th Met to hit 2 homers out of the 9-hole. Syndergaard and Terrell.
Okay.
And I think Curtis Granderson was the other. Batted 9th, hit 2 home runs in an interleague game, I guess. Two-strike count to Rosario. And the splitter is in the dirt, 1-2. 33-year-old Junior Guerra. Last start, he really labored and threw 91 pitches in 4 1/3, even though he only gave up 1 run against the Twins. Just a really rough night for him. And he strikes out Rosario with a splitter. Back-to-back strikeouts for Guerra to start the 5th. Brandon Nimmo coming up, and we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, you know, with Brandon Nimmo really starting to emerge here, it's worth taking a look back at the journey. It's no secret that as a 2011 first-round pick, it took him a long time to get here. And for so long, the conversation was about the guy that was drafted right behind him, Jose Fernandez, and the dichotomy between their 2 career paths. Now, talking with Nimmo, he said that made mentally the journey through the minor leagues very, very difficult. He heard all the talk. He heard about Fernandez. He heard about the 152 other players from that 2011 draft class that got to the major leagues before he did. Even 2015, he said, was difficult when Michael Conforto passed him so quickly on the organizational depth chart. But he said that's where you have to take a step back and think away from the am I actually worthy of my draft standing thoughts and focus on people like your family. He said that his parents were so instrumental in getting him to keep the blinders on and worry less about being a bust of a first-round pick and more about taking his own path and his own time. But you can understand with all those expectations and everything happening around him how difficult that could be.
That's great stuff. Nimmo lifts one toward the right field corner, back near the wall at the foul pole, and it's a foul ball. Is it caught? Did he catch that ball? Santana disappeared from our view going into the corner, and what a play. My goodness. Tremendous play by Domingo Santana. Going up against the wall in foul territory and reeling that ball in to end the inning. Nice play. Lorenzo Cain leads off the home 5th inning against Noah Syndergaard. Third time around the batting order for Noah. Cain hit a bloop single to right and scored a run in the 3rd after stealing a base. And he checks his swing, but he went around. 1-1. Cain, Yelich, and Aguilar in the 5th for Syndergaard, who's given up 3 runs and 6 hits over the first 4.
When you watch Cain, you say to yourself, boy, he takes a big cut for a leadoff hitter. But, you know, with Kansas City the last few seasons, he's been more of their number 3 hitter, 2 hitter.
Well, a lot of the time they had Alcides Escobar leading off,
right,
even though he didn't have the highest of on-base percentages. The interesting thing about Cain is that hitting leadoff here in Milwaukee, he's got what would be the highest on-base percentage of his career. Came into the night at .388. He's never been that high before.
He leads his team in walks, 29.
2-2 coming. Struck him out. 97-mile-an-hour sinker from Syndergaard for his 5th strikeout of the night.
See, the look from Cain was like, what was that pitch? Watch after he swings. Hold it on him. Takes a look at Syndergaard like, what was that?
Well, you have a 2-seamer too.
That's not fair.
So 1 out now. Christian Yelich, who's hit 2 bullets. He lined to left, and Nimmo with a great diving catch. Then he singled up the middle to drive in a run in the 3rd. And he takes a curveball down for ball 1.
You know, before a game, Gary, we'll always look at a pitcher's pitch usage. But what's interesting about this game is to look at how the pitch usage for Syndergaard has changed, you know, since he got roughed up early.
Yeah, with a lot of hits on his fastball. He's thrown a lot more curveballs than normal through the middle portion of the game. And the changeup is fouled off, and it's 2-1. Yelich coming over from the Marlins, who are playing the Nationals tonight. They were down early against Max Scherzer and rallied to tie it. That's the good news. Martin Prado had 3 hits against Scherzer. More good news. But then Prado got hurt again, running out of ground ball. And it looks fairly serious, they say. I just can't catch a break. Grounded to Cabrera's right. He comes up for him nicely, and he makes the play. A fortuitous bounce on the backhand that time. 2 out.
The Marlins are 14-13, a game over 500 their last 27 games. So they're playing hard for Don Mattingly.
Well, we just saw that. To take 2 out of 3 for the Mets.
And you thought there was no chance. You have Scherzer against Urania. And Urania was 0-7.
Yeah, he's been pretty unlucky.
Yes,
opening day starter this year for Miami. Here's Aguilar, who's 0 for 2, struck out and flied out. And takes curveball for a strike. So Syndergaard has now retired 6 of the last 7. The only blip was the Flores error in the 4th. After he gave up the 2 runs in the 3rd, that put the Brewers back in front.
Don't you find it interesting, though, the team, because of their early success, has got a guy who throws 100 off his fastball.
But there's another piece of that, too, which could work in Syndergaard's favor because they were so aggressive early in the game. Syndergaard has a very low pitch count in the 5th inning. Only 63 pitches with 2 out in the 5th. And Aguilar has really had trouble with that slider all night. 1-2. I mean, a lot of people have trouble against Noah's slider when it's working, but he's looked bad on it.
I'd like to see him pop right-handers in occasionally. We do not see that pitch from him. That 4-seamer chest high.
On the outside corner, got him looking at the fastball. Syndergaard's got his 6th strikeout and his 2nd 1-2-3 inning of the night. 3-2 Brewers after 5. Sixth inning as Drupal Cabrera leads off against Junior Guerra, and it takes a slider for a strike. Cabrera has one of the Mets' 4 hits in this game, a single to center in the third.
Shaw has shifted over to that right side of the infield and up the middle.
Oh, 2 to Asdrubal. He spikes that splitter. 1-2. Wilmer Flores on deck, then Jay Bruce. Mets have gotten a couple of solo home runs tonight from Rosario and Conforto to stick around in this game. Meanwhile, Guerra at 64 pitches, but the Brewers have bullpen action going. Already talked about how Guerra has been mostly a 5-inning pitcher, and so Craig Counsell is going to have somebody ready for the left-hand hitters. Bruce and Conforto, a couple of batters away.
It's amazing to me, finally a manager who knows his pitcher, right, and knows that he struggles, so he gets the.
He's also got that weapon
the greatest weapon in the game right now.
Hader has been a phenomenon for the Brewers, striking out 2 batters an inning. And the thing about him is that, you know, he can go 2 1/3 if he needs to, and get them to the rest of that bullpen, which has been awfully good as well. Guys like Jeremy Jeffress and Corey Knebel, their closer, who's back now and closing games again.
Yeah, Jeffress hasn't allowed a run, what, in 21 1/3 innings.
Well, we said it last night. You want to beat the Brewers, you better be ahead in the middle of the game, and Cabrera's got his 2nd hit of the night. Kane comes over and cuts it off, and Asdrubal will settle for his 2nd hard hit single. And so the Mets have the tying run aboard and nobody out. We check in with the studio. Eamon McEnany has a game break. Eamon. Thanks, Eamon. Here's Wilmer Flores, who singled to center and fouled out to first. 1 for 2. And Wilmer takes the fastball down for ball 1. So this very well could be Junior Guerra's last batter. You got Bruce and then Conforto, and they've got Josh Hader ready to go in the bullpen. One to Wilmer, who had a base hit back in the 1st inning, then fouled out. 1 for 2. Cabrera at first and nobody out. And Wilmer hits a double play ball. Saladino gets it away to VR, and they turn the 6-4-3 double play. 2 out.
Well, the ball travels so quickly on this infield that if you hit it right at someone, it's an easy double play.
Well, that will give Craig Counsell the luxury of leaving Guerra in to face Bruce if he wants. Pena heads out to the mound. Hader is no longer throwing.
So really, Hader was up just in case Guerra got in trouble. If the first 2 got on, Hader would have came in and faced Bruce and Conforto.
So now Counsell trying to figure out how to maneuver things going forward.
Whenever a manager's hat's off, there's something wrong.
Well, sometimes a pitcher doing a really good thing can mess you up as a manager. He had the whole thing planned out. He was going to bring in Hader to face Bruce with a man on or 2 men on. Now he's got to change course.
Well, if he can get Guerra through this batter Bruce, then he can start Hader against Conforto for the 7th.
Of course, he has to try and figure out how to configure his lineup, because he likes to keep Hader in for multiple innings.
Right.
So he's got the pitcher due up 6th in the next inning. So if they don't go through that spot, then he has to figure out how to double switch Hader into the game. Gets complicated. Bruce hits one into the shift, and VR is there to throw him out. And Guerra, after giving up a leadoff hit, finds his way through the top of the 6th inning. 3-2 Milwaukee. Down by a run. Travis Shaw has driven in 2 of the 3 Milwaukee runs. Leads off against Noah Syndergaard, who has settled in and not a lot of hit the last 2 innings. And Shaw takes the first pitch curveball down for ball 1, and that's become a new pattern for Syndergaard. Shaw homered over the center field fence in the 2nd, stroked a base hit to drive in a run in the 3rd. And he breaks his bat as he fouls off the slider, and it's 1-1.
Shaw has a high leg kick, and he dives into the plate. Where he's vulnerable is up and in with the fastball. But Noah has not been really able to locate that up and into the left-handed hitters.
It's been an odd night for Noah. He's been plagued often by higher pitch counts. That hasn't been the problem tonight. What was the problem early in this game was the Brewers jumping on fastballs early in the count. Two and 1 to Shaw, Domingo Santana, then Jonathan VR for the Brewers in the 6th. And now Syndergaard behind on Shaw, 3-1.
So curveball, slider, changeup to Shaw.
Now what do you do?
That 2-seamer, run it away, keep it down. Try to have him put it in play on the ground.
Got it in at the knees, full count.
And swing at it. It's killing me. Needed to put it on the ground.
Well, do you do the same thing again?
No, 3-2 change up here now.
Got him looking at a fastball. Well, Syndergaard comes back from 3-1 to strike out Shaw, his 7th of the night.
That was outstanding pitching. If you stick around long enough, sometimes that control that eluded you early in the game comes back.
6 in a row retired by Syndergaard. Here's Santana, who struck out looking his last time up. Had a base hit back in the 2nd, 1 for 2. Noah's given up 3 runs on 6 hits, but all of that came in the 2nd and 3rd innings. And at 72 pitches, he might get deep into this game. It's funny how that works. He is due up 4th in the next half inning, so that'll be interesting to watch.
Bad news, good news kind of deal.
Well, the other piece is the Mets will be facing Josh Hader in that next half inning. Well, the Brewers have been the best in baseball at protecting leads. However, the Mets have been the best in baseball at coming back from deficits. So sets up an interesting late part of this game. And there's a half swing and a miss by Santana, who was overmatched. 3 strikeouts in a row for Syndergaard now, 8 for the night.
Best at 6 and 15. A lot of that done in April, though.
Yeah. And all 6 of those came when trailing after 7, which makes it even more impressive. Nobody else has more than 4 of those. So Syndergaard's now retired 7 in a row, striking out 5 of the 7. And here's VR, who's 0 for 2, grounded into a double play and popped up. And he has to lean back. Changeup off the plate, 2-0. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock New York time start. Our coverage begins at 3:30. Jason Vargas tries to back up his fine performance against the Marlins. He'll go up against Chase Anderson. Zach Wheeler goes Sunday against Jhoulys Chacin. That's your City probables. Syndergaard behind in the count, 2-0. And VR slaps one down to Flores. Handles the one hopper. Another low throw. And this one Gonzalez is able to handle. That was not a good throw at all by Flores, but Gonzalez bails him out. 8 in a row retired by Syndergaard. Still 3-2 Milwaukee.
This is a real race, folks, around home plate, and it looks like Italian, Polish. I don't think Polish can catch up to Italian number 3 as he busts through the tape. Italian, the winner. Polish take.
The pride of San Gimignano, the Polish sausage, the Italian sausage, excuse me, victorious tonight. And well, tonight not only do we have the sausage race, we have actual sausages. The representations of the racing sausage, but with actual food. And here it is.
Wow.
Arriving for our eating. Look, we got all the trimmings here too.
Blue cheese and cheddar.
Got the secret sauce. Got the onions.
Barbecued jalapenos.
The mustard. So we got hot dog, bratwurst, Italian, Polish, and chorizo.
And they're all in pretzel rolls. You know pretzel rolls.
Well, it's
outstanding.
It's a big thing here in Milwaukee. So it's a very nice presentation. They did such a nice job.
People here are just so incredibly nice to us.
Well, the Bratwurst trained with the German national team. We're talking now about the racing brat, not the edible brat. Sometimes it's hard to keep all that straight.
It's hard to run with those trick ankles.
Polish sausage, the notorious slow starter, also known as kielbasa. There you go.
Good friend of Lech Walesa.
Josh Hader is on to pitch for the Brewers as we go to the 7th. Michael Conforto gets tied up on his first pitch. Hader has been a phenomenon this year. Came up last year and was impressive through 35 appearances. This year he has been the greatest force in baseball.
Folks, usually I say something about the stats. I'm not going to. Just take a look at them. Nothing to say.
I mean, he's averaging nearly 2 strikeouts every inning. 58 strikeouts in 29 1/3 innings. 8 hits, 9 walks. That's crazy. That's the slider that is rarely hit.
Well,
1-2.
I've heard people say that he's a poor man's Chris Sale. To me, he looks the closest. No, not the same body type, of course, of Randy Johnson.
Yes.
That's what he looks like to me.
Absolutely.
For 2 innings.
Florida makes contact. Saladino throws him out, 1 away. I mean, his slider's not as hard as Randy's.
No. But watch how
he's nasty.
Watch how he tucks. Big high leg kick. You see his number. Barely see his eyes until he makes the turn. And just a whirling dervish of whippery as he lets that ball go.
I like that whippery. It's a good term.
Not a word, but
now Devin Mesoraco has popped up and flied out. And he takes a strike. I mean, the righties don't have that much more of a chance against him than the lefties.
His command of his fastball, especially down in the zone, has been impeccable all year.
He was part of that deal with Houston. That brought Domingo Santana as well when Carlos Gomez was traded. He started out in the Orioles system as a 19th round draft pick. The Orioles traded him to Houston for Bud Norris. And the Astros moved him on to Milwaukee at the deadline in 15. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be this kind of phenomenon. He had 35 appearances last year, and he was really good. And this year, even better. His control's been better. His strikeout rate is higher.
Well, that's really what it's been. You know, early in his career, he had difficulty throwing the ball over the strike zone. Not anymore.
And Mesoraco chases a high fastball for the second out. Strikeout number 59 in 30 innings for Josh Hader. I mean, it's like nobody even sees the ball.
He lives down in that strike zone until 2 strikes and then elevates.
Now Jose Bautista will bat for Adrian Gonzalez. Hader has given up 2 home runs this year. And Bautista fouls away the fastball. Jose Reyes is out on deck. He'll bat for Syndergaard if Bautista keeps the inning going. Well, the Brewers have the best bullpen ERA in the National League. Even after the Mets got a run against their bullpen last night. That wasn't the elite part of their bullpen. And fastball strike 1-2 to Bautista.
Well, he usually comes in the game tied or ahead, does Hader. Seth Lugo has got his own 15-inning streak, scoreless streak working. But the Brewers are 17-0 when Hader's been in the scorecard.
Inside to Bautista, who reacted late to that ball. I just think nobody sees the ball out of his hand.
He hides it so well.
Two, up and away, and a full count to Bautista. It would be a shame if the Mets had to take Syndergaard out at this point, but it's the 7th inning, and if Bautista gets on, Mickey Callaway's going to have no choice.
It's the right play.
I mean, Noah has really looked great the last 3 innings, and he's only thrown 78 pitches, but got to try and win the game.
Bautista's got to get on first.
Yep. 3-2 coming, and he walked him, and Bautista is on with a 2-out walk. So the Mets have the tying run on base, and now Reyes will come to bat for Syndergaard. So Noah is done after 6 innings. Didn't look good the first 3, looked great the last 3. And the Mets will hope to rally for him against this formidable Milwaukee bullpen.
Good at bat by Bautista.
So now Reyes, who hasn't had an at bat since Tuesday, and he takes a strike on the outside. Reyes had a hit and a walk in his last start against the Marlins Tuesday night.
Become kind of the forgotten man on that bench, hasn't he?
And Jose can't find that fastball, and it's 0-2.
Hader, who's tall and lean. Watch the torque of his body. I mean, you can see the full 71 if you're the hitter, and then opens up, and that's where he gets all his power. Almost finishes facing second base.
Oh, 2 to Reyes, and a ground ball right to VR, and that retires the side. So Hader works around a walk in the 7th. Stretch time in Milwaukee, 3-2 Brewers. Wilmer Flores moves to first. Seth Lugo pitching. And a call strike to Manny Pena as we start the bottom of the 7th.
Was nice. Seth came on in our open 15 straight scoreless innings, and his number is fantastic. One of the big weapons that Callaway has in that bullpen.
And curveball in for a strike. And it's 0-2 to Pena, who has singled and reached on an error tonight. Tyler Saladino on deck. Then Eric Sogard, who came in a double switch in the last inning with Hader. I don't think we mentioned that. And Lugo blows away Pena on 3 pitches for the first out.
You know, fellas, the funny thing about Seth Lugo is that he's known for his curveball because of that high spin rate. But if you actually look at his usage, he didn't use it all that much his first 2 seasons. Just 16% in 2016, 17% a year ago. It's up to about 32% this year. And he said that's simply because he now feels like he knows where that pitch is going. Lugo said that he couldn't find the right arm slot his first 2 seasons. But this year, working with the masseuse, he's gotten his hamstring and hip flexibility much better, which has allowed his upper body to stay controlled, not collapse. And his arm, he said, is out in front instead of dragging. He can control that weapon, and that's why he's throwing it so much more.
That's great.
That was good, Steve.
I mean, spin rate alone is not enough, right?
Well,
Saladino grounds one down to Bautista, who knocks it down, recovers, and throws him out. Bautista, who played mostly third base during his stint with the Braves, place he played earlier in his career, makes that play.
that was on a curveball. Ball comes up, but he had his body in front. If you have your body in front, you can knock it down and still gives you a chance to make the play at first, which Bautista did. Remember, got one of the great arms, and he shows it off here.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Eric Sogard, Met killer, just called up today by the Brewers when they sent Orlando Arcia down. He was off to a bad start with Milwaukee, and now he has returned. Remember the series he had against the Mets here last year?
That's right.
He couldn't get him out.
Stealing bases, base hits, home runs.
Wasn't he at one time the finalist alongside David Wright for the face of baseball?
He was. MLB's face of baseball, yeah. He was with Oakland at the time, right?
Right. I think it was an MLB Network promotion that they were doing.
And they just flooded the votes, the Oakland fans. Good for them. So it was Sogard against David Wright, which I think was pretty funny. I think there would always be a position on a Craig Counsell team for a guy like Sogard, because that's what Counsell was.
Yeah.
Got to do anything to help you win, play any place.
And did.
2 world championship rings, too.
Not just the rings, but he's in all the pictures.
Yeah.
Scored the winning run for the Marlins.
That's right.
In their World Series in '97. And then he was part of that 9th inning
rally
for the Diamondbacks in 2001 against Rivera.
That game, I think it won 11 innings, right? That the Marlins won in '97. He also hit the sac fly. People forget to tie the game earlier.
2-2 to Sogard, and that's off the plate with a fastball. 3-2. Lorenzo Cain on deck. Dripped down the left field line toward the corner, but foul. I'm looking at Sogard, and I'll tell you this in a second. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. So Sogard's wearing this Mephistophelian beard now, right?
Yes.
The point of the monocle. It reminds me of Sergio Romo, who started another game for Tampa Bay tonight and gave up a run this time. Doesn't always work, Brian. 3-2. It's fouled away.
Right.
There's even some talk that the Mets might indulge in some opening bullpen play in their doubleheader on Monday.
Yeah, in game 2, right? DeGrom has game 1.
Well, especially now that Corey Oswalt, who was a candidate to start that game, apparently has hurt himself and is not going to be a candidate to start now.
Callaway and DiSarcina going over the lineup card.
Fastball got him looking, side retired. 16 consecutive scoreless innings for Seth Lugo. 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. 3-2 Milwaukee going to the 8th. Has well, turned out to be human after all, going 0 for 3 today. Mets have gotten home runs though from Ahmed Rosario and Michael Conforto. They're down by a run as we start the 8th. Josh Hader starts his 2nd inning and misses with a slider to Ahmed Rosario. 1-0. Rosario homered back in the 3rd against Junior Guerra. Then he struck out in the 5th. And Hader falls behind him 2-0. Nimmo and then Cabrera to follow for the Mets in the 8th.
I wonder if they have the take anymore, because I would give it to him right here.
I guess not.
It's a strike though.
Throws one by Rosario, 2-2. It's interesting the way he changes speeds on his fastball.
Yeah.
He's been 91, he's been 95, he's been 93.
I think he's got a 2-seamer and a 4-seamer that he's thrown. That's why. So when he 4-seams it, he's trying to get the strikeout up in the zone. But against the right-handed hitters, he'll kind of 2-seam it and keep it on that outside corner down.
Two coming. Struck him out with a fastball. Rosario down swinging. 2nd strikeout for Hader. 1 out in the 8th.
This is what I was telling you about before. This is if you're the hitter. Turns his whole back, read the whole name and number, and you don't see the ball till now. That's pretty late and effective velocity.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now a test for Nimmo, who's gone 0 for 3 today. And Hader runs it in on him. AT&T achieving more. He reached base in 8 straight plate appearances before tonight. Became the first Met leadoff hitter to get 3 extra base hits in a game since Jose Reyes in 2011. Quickly it's 0-2.
He's got hit a couple of times in this game.
As Drupal Cabrera waits on deck. One-two from Hader, and he strikes out Nimmo. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hader to start the 8th.
Just, you know, right now it's hard to make a decision whether to swing or not against Hader. That's why he's so effective. This might be give you a chance to hit him if they had him super slow-mo. That'd be the only way.
I mean, he's not throwing 105. It's not Jordan Hicks.
No.
But it's got to be so hard to pick up.
That's that effective velocity. You know, you're just not picking it up till the last second. And he hasn't thrown a lot of breaking balls.
Cabrera's 2 for 3 today. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Bet you on his road to the major leagues, there were pitching coaches that tried to change his mechanics. And now he's just freewheeling it.
Give you a guy he's like. Mitch Williams.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Mitch pitched with his hair on fire. That's kind of what Hader is.
That's a good call.
The pride of Millersville, Maryland. Ahead on Cabrera 0-2. And Mitch similarly put himself in terrible position to field.
He would almost fall down every time he released the pitch.
As Dribble takes strike 3 called, side retired. Hader strikes out the side in the top of the 8th. What a force. 2 hitless innings for Josh Hader with 4 strikeouts. He's been doing this every time out. Still 3-2 Milwaukee. Home 8th inning, Lorenzo Cain leads off against Seth Lugo. Kane is 1 for 3 tonight. Singled, stole a base, scored a run in the third. Seth Lugo taking second billing in the bullpen wars tonight, despite getting the side in order in his first inning, and now he handles the comebacker from Kane. I mean, Hader is such a phenomenon that everybody else kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Well, he opened our eyes right when Milwaukee was in New York, and we said, boy, who is this kid? Electric stuff.
Tonight started brought to you by People's United Bank. Syndergaard had a rough second and third, but was great his last 3 innings, and then pulled for a pinch hitter after just 78 pitches. Junior Guerra gave up a couple of solo home runs, but he's on the long end of a 3-2 score. Here's Christian Yelich, and he takes the curveball low and in for ball 1. Well, Corey Knebel is up at the bullpen now for Milwaukee. Remember, he was missing when the Brewers came to Citi Field earlier this season. But back from the DL, he's reclaimed his closer's role.
And he only brings it around 98, 99 with a hammer. The 2-0 breaking ball from Lugo.
Yelich had a base hit to drive it a run in the third, then stole the base and scored a run himself. That was the third Milwaukee run that right now is the difference in this game. After Ronnie and I are done here, it's WB Mason postgame live. Gary Apple and Nelson Figueroa will have all the analysis. I mean, deep analysis.
They always do.
They'll take a deep dive.
I could use some deep analysis, to tell you the truth.
Gotta wait till after the season. 2-2 coming. Yelich slashes one foul.
How much joy it gives me to have the extended netting at every ballpark we go to.
It's really important. And you hardly notice it.
Right?
It's great. It's a nice, positive development for the game.
We've heard some few complaints from the folks that got the expensive seats, but you know what? It's a different world. Not everyone is eyeballed, glued. Eyeballs are glued to the game. Protection, number one.
Three-2 coming to Yelich, and the curveball bounced foul. And meanwhile, Lugo just keeps rolling along.
He's I don't know. I think it takes he and Gazelman both, but they're different personalities. I think it takes great mental capacity to be disappointed and make not be a starting pitcher and have to go in the bullpen, and that's usually a demotion. He's treated as a place he can go and help the team the most. I think that's great.
I loved his comments to Steve during that interview tonight. Yelich takes on the inside corner, strike 3 called. Perfect pitch by Lugo on the inside block for his third strikeout.
The Bartolo Colon still resonates here occasionally, and that's what that was. Two-seamer that started right at the hip of Yelich and just keeps working itself back over the plate.
5 up and 5 down for Seth, and now he'll take on Jesus Aguilar. If you missed the interview earlier, but what Lugo basically said is when he found out that he was going to be moved to the bullpen, he said he was very disappointed. And it took him a few days to get over it. But then he decided to focus on being the best reliever that he could be, and he's had to change a lot of things in terms of his preparation and in terms of his mindset. But boy, what a job he's done. Aguilar is 0 for 3 tonight.
It's hard to look at it for both Lugo and Gazelman because I'm sure down deep they want to start. But for Gazelman, the 2 pitches make him so effective, and the uptick in velocity for Lugo changes him as a real force.
Fly ball down the right side. That'll slice and go foul.
This cat's got some serious pop, doesn't he?
Big man. Mets have held him in check so far in this series, but we have seen last year and earlier this year how potent he can be. 1-2 coming. Just off the corner. 2-2.
Could have called it.
Curveball fouled off.
That was a good swing by Aguilar on that curveball. Talking to Brian Anderson, who's the play-by-play guy for the Brewers, and he was telling us that Aguilar has a great two-strike approach for a big power hitter. That's why he's hitting for such a high average.
We've seen that in RBI situations, particularly going up the middle into right field. And Lugo bounces one for ball 4, or is that ball 3?
Ball 3.
Ball 3. Travis Shaw would be next. Three-2 coming to Aguilar, and he pulls one on the ground down to third. Batista with a backhand stop and throws him out to end the inning. 6 up and 6 down for Lugo. He's now thrown 17 straight scoreless innings. We go to the 9th. Mets down a run.
Lots of good stuff in there, but even better stuff coming at you at 11 o'clock on SNY. We're going to talk the Mets game. We're also going to catch up with Mets prospect Peter Alonso. All that's coming at you. See you then.
Here we go to the 9th inning, and Corey Knebel comes on to try and save it for Milwaukee.
Yeah, he was out a month with a strained left hamstring, but he is back, and they say here better than ever.
That's at the heart of the batting order up against Knebel. Flores, Bruce, and Conforto in the 9th. Wilmer's 1 for 3 tonight, and he takes a curveball for a strike.
Knebel throws that spike curve. Nasty one there.
Knebel last year, 39 saves, a 1.78 ERA, one of the elite closers in the game. And while they missed him while he was out for 5 weeks, it enabled the other guys around him to get some save chances. Hader and Jeffress and That bullpen now is as formidable as any in the game.
I mean, it's so good that Jacob Barnes is in the minor leagues. The guy who played a big part of that bullpen last year.
0-2 to Wilmer. And he taps one at the plate. Fair or foul? Foul. Oh, he's out. Fair ball.
It's on the plate. It's a fair ball.
Wilmer questioning the home plate umpire Mike McClinsky. The problem is McClinsky's first indication, he threw his hands up, which would indicate foul ball, instead of pointing to fair territory, which would indicate fair ball.
And then the other part about it is did Wilmer foul it off his foot, or did it hit his foot?
Well, Mickey Callaway accepts whatever explanation McClinsky has given him. Take a look.
Just hits it right behind the plate. If it's on the plate or in front of it.
Oh, he kicked
it. See the kick?
He kicked it, and it was, well, it wasn't in fair territory when he kicked it.
That's right.
It looked like it might have moved into foul territory before he kicked it. But that's not a reviewable call, and it's put out to the catcher for the first out. Now Jay Bruce. So you can understand why there was some question about that, because it was sitting on the plate, then it kind of rolled off the plate into foul territory, and then Wilmer's foot touched it.
That's right.
Fouled back this way. And Ronnie almost wasn't looking at a ball that might have hit him in the chops.
I never saw it because I was ready for the replay of Wilmer Flores.
See, now the foot touches the ball. That ball's in foul territory. That's not on the plate. That's so that was not the right call. And McClinsky can't see. He's blocked by the catcher.
Yeah. Well, you know, there is a line from the back of the plate that runs right in front of the batter's box, right? And then goes out to third base. That line doesn't continue through the batter's box. So there's that gray area right there where you have to kind of determine as an umpire, is it fair or foul?
Bruce goes after the curveball and misses, and it's 2-2. Jay's 0 for 3 tonight. And 0 for 2 in his career against Knebel. Here's the other part about that play. Run first, ask questions later.
I'm with you on that.
Only can get in trouble when you don't run. Two coming. Line center field. Kane coming on, and he gets there. 2 out. Let's go back to Flores. This is what the umpire saw.
Okay, so from behind him, ball hits behind the plate. It shoots up. I think it hits on the plate once, and he can't see any of that.
There's no way that he can tell whether that ball is fair or foul.
That's right.
He did say that Wilmer touched it, and he was correct about that, but he did not see where it was. And as it turned out, it was not the right call. So the Mets are down to their final out. Here's Conforto, who hooked a home run into the seats in right field in the 4th inning, his 5th of the year. That's the last run that has been scored in this game. Both offenses have been on lockdown ever since. And curveball in for a strike, 1-1.
Unusual. Knebel threw a strike with that curveball and got rid of the ball. Wanted a new one.
One, and it's up and into Conforto. 2-1. Corey Knebel out of the University of Texas. Typical hard throwing Longhorn.
That's right.
And Conforto takes a rip and comes up empty, and now the Mets are down to their final strike. Conforto shoots one foul to stay alive. Knebel trying to save it for Junior Guerra, who went the first 6, allowed 2 runs, 4 hits.
Guerra always wants to face the Mets, right? Boy.
Two. Another foul ball. Josh Hader 2 hitless innings. And now Knebel's retired the first 2 in the 9th. Mets' last hit was Cabrera leading off the 6th inning.
Interesting, though. Conforto's had some pretty good swings, even though the ball's been up in the strike zone. So Pena goes out, trying to decide what they want to go with.
He's got visits to burn.
Yeah, right.
There's still a 4 left.
I mean, I think the choice for Knebel is at least take one shot at that curveball in the dirt. Try to see if he can get the check swing or swing through by Conforto. He's on the fastball.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming to Michael. And the curveball in the dirt, 3-2. Devin Mesoraco would be next.
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the same pitch. Curveball for a strike, though.
Three-two coming. In the dirt, ball 4, and the Mets get the tying run aboard. So Knebel went back to the curveball. Conforto able to hold the trigger. And the Mets have themselves a chance in the 9th with Mesoraco coming up.
Good at bat by Conforto. Home run in this game. That was an excellent bat against one of the best closers in the game.
Now Mesoraco had a good night at the plate last night, but tonight has popped up, flied out, and struck out 0 for 3. 3 home runs since joining the Mets.
The dirt ball read is important in this at bat here too for Conforto,
especially after Knebel buried a couple of those curves in the dirt against Michael. And Mesoraco lays off, ball 1. Jose Bautista would be next if Mesoraco keeps this thing alive. And behind Bautista is the pitcher's spot, and the Mets have just Guillorme and Nido left on the bench if it gets that far. Two and 0. Knebel last year walked 40 batters in 76 innings, so he can work around the strike zone at times. He just walked Conforto. Now he's 2-0 on Mesoraco. And the curveball spins inside. Now it's 3-0. And the fans here at Miller Park getting a little uneasy.
Tough choice when they throw 98 to go with the curveball to get you 3-0. This is the hard call. You let him swing here?
Absolutely.
Yes, I like it.
And he takes a strike. Borderline pitch, 3-1.
It wasn't a strike.
Conforto at first with 2 out, 3-1 to Mesoraco. There goes Conforto. The breaking ball is outside, ball 4, and the Mets have the tying run at second and the go-ahead run at first with Bautista coming up. Pitching coach Derek Johnson is going to go out to talk with Knebel, who got the first 2 batters out here in the 9th. But now has walked a pair to give the Mets a chance.
He got the first 2 batters out, and he's been trying to kind of trick the last 2 hitters, and it's gotten behind in the count, and it's cost him 2 base runners. So Derek Johnson, their pitching coach, out to speak with him.
So Jose Bautista signed earlier this week, flew in from Tampa, went right into the lineup. Now he has a chance for his first big moment as a Met. He came on as a pinch hitter in the 7th and drew a walk. He stayed in the game at third base. And it will be in his hands here. Now Luis Guillorme is on deck behind him, which means that it's really in Bautista's hands here.
It is.
And I wonder how Knebel approaches Bautista here. Bautista has a hit in his only career at bat against Knebel. Conforto with good speed at second. Mesoraco at first. Mets down a run in the 9th. but down to their final out. And Bautista takes up and away for ball one.
Knebel hasn't been able to make an adjustment. Everything up in the strike zone, off the plate away.
Well, Bautista was able to draw a walk against Josh Hader. He was the only man to reach against him. And the curveball drilled into left field, a base hit. Here's Conforto around third, heading home. Yelich's throw to the plate on a hop, not in time, and the game is tied. Jose Bautista comes through with the Mets down to their final out. He drives in the tying run on the top of the ninth, and it's 3-3.
What an adjustment by Bautista. Kind of fooled by this breaking ball. Looks like Pena was fooled also. I think it was supposed to be a fastball in. He makes the adjustment. I thought Yelich was really going to have a chance at Conforto, but not the strongest of throws and off the mark. Great jump by Conforto with 2 outs. Cuts the bag nicely and scores the tying run. Impressive by the Mets.
So now it's Guillorme to pinch hit with the go-ahead run at second. Guillorme, after getting off to a fast start, 3 for his first 3. He's gone 0 for his last 12.
The reaction by Bautista, of course.
He's hoping to resurrect his career, and that is an enormous hit for him to get the Mets even. He's at first, Mesoraco's at second. One to Guillorme, and he gets tied up, and it's 1-1. If he can keep the inning going, Ahmed Rosario would be next. So that gets Syndergaard off the hook. Gazelman is up. He'll come in if it's a tie. Familia if the Mets get the lead. Guillorme flies one foul, and it's 1-2. Well, this vaunted Milwaukee bullpen was great for 2 2/3, but then Knebel cracked a couple of walks, and then Bautista with the base hit against the curveball to drive in the tying run, and Knebel suffers a blown save. 1-2 coming, and Guillorme takes the fastball high, 2-2.
So watch the catcher, Gary. This is a cross up here. He's expecting fastball in. He gets breaking ball. Pena might not even have caught that ball if it doesn't get past Bautista.
It's like Pena wasn't expecting a curve. Bautista wasn't expecting a curve, but it all worked out in the end. 2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Guillorme, and it's upstairs, and now a full count. Knebel just cannot command his fastball at all. Rosario waiting on deck. He already has a home run tonight and might have a chance for some more heroics in a moment. So now Mesoraco will get the automatic start off second, and Bautista off first. 3-2 to Guillorme. And he fouls it at the plate to stay alive. Luis has looked a little overmatched in his last few at bats.
Well, he's been late on the fastball, but the ball down is more of his strength. Just makes contact.
Just looking to put something in play here and make it happen. Runners get set to go, 3-2, and Knebel takes a look at Mesoraco. Three-2 coming. Guillorme fouls back a fastball. Better cut at that.
Yes.
Knebel 30 pitches deep in this top of the ninth. And another pitch to make here against Guillorme. The 8th pitch of the at-bat upcoming. And Guillorme flies it down the left field line, slicing away foul. And they'll do it again. This at-bat getting better and better for Luis Guillorme.
Bautista got his first meaningful Mets moment. Maybe Guillorme can get his.
Mesoraco at second, Bautista at first with 2 out. 9th pitch coming to Guillorme. And he fouls back another fastball. So does Knebel just keep feeding him fastballs?
You have to, because Rosario's on deck. This is the hitter that you've got to challenge, in my opinion.
Guillorme making a good showing of himself against the Brewers closer, who's already blown the save, now trying to keep his team tied. Again, the 3-2. And he walked him to load the bases. How about that plate appearance for Luis Guillorme? Got behind in the count, fouled off a bunch, and on the 10th pitch, he draws the 3rd walk of the inning from Corey Knebel to load him up.
Here's a G pitch cast. Ball's inside with a little cut off the plate. Good call by home plate umpire McClinsky. You know, Mickey Callaway said before the first game here in Milwaukee, he said it's important for the Mets to take their walks.
And Knebel is coming out of this game. He's thrown 33 pitches in the 9th inning. He hasn't been back all that long from the disabled list. And Jeremy Jeffress, who's been outstanding for the Brewers as well this year, is going to be called in with the bases loaded to face Ahmed Rosario. What a turn of events. Mets down to their final out, tied it, now looking to take the lead. Call to the bullpen, brought to you by Verizon. Try and bail him out. Ryan Braun comes in on a double switch. He'll hit in the 6th spot in the order where the pitcher had been and be up 3rd in the bottom of the 9th. Pitcher goes in the 3 hole, and it's Jeffress, who's been great this year.
Yeah, 21 in the 3rd scoreless inning streak for Jeffress in his 26th game here.
He comes in with the bases loaded and 2 out. Mesoraco the go-ahead run at 3rd, Bautista at 2nd, and Guillorme at 1st. Jeffress has inherited 17 runners this year. Only 2 of them have scored. He's got 3 to try and strand here, facing Rosario, who homered back in the 3rd inning, 1 for 3 tonight. And Ahmed takes a fastball up and away for ball 1. No room to operate for Jeffress, who's walked 8 batters in 26 innings this year. He's had more problems with control in the past.
Yes, he has.
But he is off to his best start ever in his 3rd tour of duty with the Brewers. And Rosario chases the breaking ball, and it's 1-1.
All the pressure is on the pitcher with the bases loaded. You know, he's a young player. You want him to come to you.
Ahmed's home run tonight was his 3rd of the year. Knebel walked 3, gave up the tying hit to Bautista. Mets have never led this game. Rosario hits it on the ground. Saladino to second for the force, and the side retired. So Jeffress comes in and strands 3 after Jose Bautista puts up his first big moment as a Met. Game tying hit with 2 out of the top of the 9th. 3-3 in Milwaukee. Orlando Resort's 3 amazing theme parks, including Universal Volcano Bay Water Theme Park, a tropical paradise like no other. Plus, stay on site at Lowe's Sapphire Falls Resort. Just go to sny.tv/Toyota and enter today. That's tied in the top of the 9th, and now handed off to Robert Gazelman to try and keep it tied in the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, Gazelman comes in with the game tied. Familia would have came in if the Mets had got another run across. Outstanding numbers for Robert. Wants to go to 5-0.
Last pitch Tuesday night against Miami, a scoreless inning. He'll face Travis Shaw, who delivered the keynote tonight, a home run in the 2nd inning against Noah Syndergaard. And Shaw takes the first pitch curveball for a strike, 0-1. Shaw also singled in a run in the 3rd, so he has 2 of the 3 RBIs for the Brewers tonight. 33 RBIs for the year. And he hits one off the end of the bat right over the bag, and it'll trickle down the line. Bautista runs it down, but Shaw's at second base with a leadoff double.
Well, you can account for a lot of things as a pitcher. You can't account for the cue shot. Off the end of the bat. And with the shift on. Good hustle by Bautista. Almost made this into a play.
Shaw has his 3rd hit of the night, and the Brewers have the potential winning run at second with nobody out. Well, Bautista knew that Nimmo was all the way over in left center, so he was going to have to get to that ball. So now you got Domingo Santana at the plate and Ryan Braun on deck, both right-hand batters. And Gazelman's going to go after Santana, who was 1 for 3 against Syndergaard tonight with a couple of strikeouts. And he is a high strikeout hitter. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Santana's now struck out 54 times this year, 178 times last year. And obviously he wants to get that ball to the right side to at least get that winning run to third. And Gesellman throws the sinker low and in, and it's 1-1.
Santana's got tremendous power to right field also. He's has the ability to go that way.
And Santana gets crowded. 2 balls and a strike. Seth Lugo went 2 perfect innings in the 7th and 8th, but Gesellman gives up a rather fortunate double to Shaw and now has some serious issues here in the 9th. And that fastball misses inside, and it's 3-1. Trying to keep it in on him so he can't hit the ball to right, but now behind in the count. Ryan Braun on deck.
Still don't give in though, Gary.
No reason. You've got first base open.
That's right.
There's a strike, 3-2. And you know, if Braun comes up with 2 men on, you certainly have the double play possibility.
Yeah, but it was almost like Santana wasn't ready to hit there. That ball split the plate.
Three-two coming. On the outside corner, got him looking. Gesellman with a little cutter strikes out Santana for the first out.
Well, that's the 3rd slider, 2 by Syndergaard and 1 here by Gesellman that has got Santana tonight.
That's going to walk Braun intentionally.
Well, after the cue shot, Mets get a call. That's all right.
Well, they had a call go against them in the top of the 9th on the Flores ball, which was probably not correct. So Braun is intentionally walked, 1st and 2nd and 1 out, and now Manny Pena, who's 1 for 3 tonight, singled, reached on an error, and struck out. And Pena takes a slider for a strike.
Shaw does not have a lot of speed despite 13 straight stolen bases. He doesn't have a lot of speed at second base.
And Pena goes after the sinker, and Gesellman's ahead 0-2. So Robert really going to work after giving up that cue shot double to Shaw. Tyler Saladino in the 8-hole is on deck. 0-2 to Pena with 2 on. And he just got a piece of that sinker to stay in there.
Boy, Gesellman's sinker just gets better and better each time he comes out of that bullpen.
Oh, 0-2 to Pena. Line drive left field. Nimmo picks it off. He's got a double play. Shaw took off from second. Either thought it was going to drop or didn't know how many out there were. And the double play sends us to extra innings. Nimmo catches the line drive. Shaw with a base running mistake. A 7-4 double play to end the bottom of the 9th. 10th inning, Mets playing their 6th extra inning game of the year. They're 3-2. Brandon Nimmo leads off and takes a fastball outside from Jeremy Jeffress. Nimmo tonight has gone 0 for 4 after his 4 for 4 night last night. Nimmo, Cabrera, and Flores for the Mets in the 10th. Brewers playing their 5th extra inning game. They are 3-1. Extra innings on SNY brought to you by Nissan. Get the technology of tomorrow today at Nissan Now. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Jeffress came in to get the final out in the 9th. Nimmo gets jammed and pops one up. Pena coming back for a look near the screen. He has enough room to make the catch. Ball stays in play. Nimmo's retired for the first out in the 10th.
A lot more space here at Miller Park than back at Citi Field, so that's why Pena was able to track this one down. Is that kid sleeping or hiding from the ball? Hiding.
Just making sure. He says dribble Cabrera, who's 2 for 4 tonight. So all the finals are rolling in.
Yes.
How about this one? Corey Kluber pitched shutout ball into the 7th. Left the game. The Astros scored 4 in the 8th and 7 in the 9th to beat the Indians 11-2.
Their bullpen has been struggling.
Wow.
Kluber was going for his 8th win.
Well, he left with a 2-0 lead. Just didn't last.
There were 3 different pitchers going for their 8th win tonight: Severino, Scherzer, and Kluber.
And the guy who has struggled, who has, you know, been so lights out for Cleveland for how many years? Andrew Miller.
Yeah.
Tonight, 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning.
You know, he hurt his hamstring, and I think he came back, and he has not pitched effectively since coming off the disabled list.
Wilmer Flores on deck. 2-0 to Cabrera, who's 2 for 4 tonight, and he takes the fastball below the knees, and now it's 3-0. Walks hurt the Brewers in the 9th inning. Corey Knebel walked 3. Jeffress came in and bailed him out, and now Jeffress behind Cabrera 3-0.
And almost as far as you can get off the rubber, just a big toe.
3-1. And Cabrera pulls one into the hole, a base hit, his 3rd hit of the night. Takes a turn, he's going to try for 2. The throw by Santana to second on a hop. He's out at second base. Well, Cabrera taking a chance. But Santana threw a 1-hop strike and nails him for the 2nd out.
Well, I think it's a good play all around. 1, the good hitting by Cabrera. 2, trying to take a shot. Santana had to go in the corner, but he comes up with a cannon of a throw, 1 hop that gets Cabrera at second base.
Second fine play of the night for Santana, who caught that foul fly ball by Nimmo back in the 5th, right in the corner. And now a perfect strike to Saladino. 9-6 on the putout for the 2nd out. So 2 out and nobody on for Flores, and Wilmer takes a curveball off the plate for ball 1. Wilmer tonight 1 for 4, had a base hit back in the 1st, had that controversial play in the 9th where he fouled one right on or off the plate, ran into it, and was called out when it looked like it was a foul ball.
Watch this throw, squares up, gets those shoulders square. That's the key. And 1 hop cannon to second base. Nice tag by Saladino.
And the rare close play where the player called out does not make the headset gesture.
Yeah, right.
Well, looking out of Wilmer.
Point to the dugout.
Right. One-two coming, and Wilmer lays off the curve. 2-2. Jay Bruce would be next. And Flores bounces one on the left side. Foul. Doug Williams and SNY MLB insider Andy Martino discuss whether Jose Reyes is in danger of being DFA'd and their thoughts on the Bautista signing on the latest Shea Anything podcast. Search SNY Mets and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Jeremy Jeffress trying to get through the top of the 10th. Mets were down in this game 1-0. They were down 3-1. Tied it in the 4th. Got a run in the 4th and tied it in the 9th. And Wilmer hits one deep to left field. Back goes Yelich onto the track. Back near the wall to make the catch. Wilmer just missed. He excels in these late game situations, but he came up a few feet shy that time as Yelich took it in a step from the wall. They go to the bottom of the 10th, still tied at 3. Last of the 10th, Tyler Saladino leads off against Robert Gazelman, who got in and out of trouble in the 9th. Saladino's gone 0 for 3 after being handed the starting shortstop's job today, with Orlando Arcia being sent down. Eric Sogard on deck. Saladino flies one down the right field line. Bruce coming over near the side wall, and he picks it off. Nice play by Bruce, who was about to run out of room. And Saladino retired for the first out.
That little cutout in the padding gave him a little extra room to almost fit his body into after he made the catch.
Very snug fit. So one out for Gazelman in the 10th, and now Sogard up for the second time. Came in on a double switch in the 7th. Took a call third strike in his only at bat against Lugo. So Lugo went 2 innings. Now Gazelman trying to go a second inning. After Syndergaard went the first 6. Syndergaard had a premature exit. Mets needed to bat for him in the 7th, so he threw only 78 pitches today. Jerry Blevins is the next man up in the Mets bullpen, with Christian Yelich 2 batters away. Syndergaard was not really good early in the game, but his last 3 innings he was spectacular. Retired his last 8, striking out 5 of the 8. Lugo 6 up 6 down, continues to throw up nothing but zeros. And now Gazelman. Line the other way. That's going to fall for a base hit for Sogard. Second hit against Gazelman, and the potential winning run aboard again for Milwaukee.
You called him the Mets killer, right? Sinker away, goes with it that way. Boy, Nimmo played that very aggressively, and it skipped on him there. That almost got by him. Doesn't try to do too much. Big leg kick, but really a singles hitter is Sogard.
Sogard had been 0 for his last 28 at the big league level before that base hit. Now Lorenzo Cain, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Make it 1 for 4. He had a base hit in the third, stole a base and scored a run. AJ Ramos joins Jerry Blevins in the bullpen. Sogard's not a big base stealer, none this year, 3 last year, but Gazelman's now thrown over 3 times. Cain at the plate would be a tough man to double up. And he gets one in the air to center. Conforto back to the warning track, runs it down. Sogard was around second, now trying to get back to first, and he'll get back safely. And he did retouch second base on his way back. That's the second out.
Well, he knew what he was doing. He was trying to get around second in case Conforto missed that baseball. He's a heady player. Comes back, touches the bag. You have to do that. He gets back in time.
Now Mickey Callaway on his way to the mound. You got the left-hand hitter Christian Yelich coming up, and it might be the spot for Jerry Blevins. So Gazelman out after an inning and 2/3. Blevins coming in to face Yelich. 3-3 in the 10th. We'll be right back. In the 10th.
Tough mark for Jerry Blevins. 4 for 14. Yelich is off Blevins, and Yelich doesn't give up too much against left-handed pitching.
And it's been a rough go for Blevins. Last outing on Monday night, he was brought in to face Justin Bohr, and he walked him. It has been a less than stellar first third of the season for Blevins. You got Sogard at first with 2 out. Yelich 1 for 4 tonight. And a first pitch fastball has him swinging, 0-1.
See, defensively for the Mets, their outfield is playing no doubles, so extremely deep. What they are giving Yelich, though, is that right field line.
If Yelich keeps the inning going, the pitcher spot's due up next. Hernan Perez, a right-hand batter, is out on deck. And that one's at the feet of Yelich. 2 fastballs to start him off, 1-1. This has been the pattern for Blevins, who seems reluctant to throw his curveball early in counts.
And it was the a slide step to the plate, too. No high leg kick for Blevins on that pitch.
Right before that last pitch, by the way, Conforto moved about 6 steps to his right over toward left center. There's the curveball. It's drilled to right. Bruce coming over, and he has to play it on a hop. Sogard racing for third. Yelich will hold it first. I thought Bruce was going to try to catch that ball, but I guess it had enough topspin. He didn't want to risk it. And now the potential winning run is at third with 2 out.
I think it's the right play by Jay Bruce, because he was playing in right center field. Hit off the end of the bat by Yelich, so it died. But it really is the doubles defense, no doubles defense, that took him out of making that play.
So again, Blevins fails to get the left-hand hitter out. That's going to be the end of his tenure. And now A.J. Ramos will be brought in to face Hernan Perez. So this rough season for Jerry Blevins continues. He'll take his exit as Ramos comes in to try and keep this game going in the 10th. We'll be right back to Milwaukee. As he gives up the base hit on the curveball to Christian Yelich. And now A.J. Ramos comes in to face the pinch hitter Hernan Perez with a potential winning run at third.
Numbers have not been great for A.J. so far. Just has to get this 1 out.
Perez started last night, went 1 for 4. Sogard carrying the winning run at third. The runner from first takes off, and the Mets will let him go. Yelich moves up on a defensive indifference. That takes away the force at second. One 1-0 to Perez. And the slider misses down. 2-0.
Yelich is hit off the curveball. Watch Jerry's hand. See how his hand is underneath the ball, not on the side of the ball. That's why that curveball so far this year is kind of hung up in the strike zone.
Ramos behind 2-0. This is the guy you want to get, even with first base open. You got Travis Shaw waiting on deck. And Perez takes low ball 3. I mean, you don't have another lefty to go to. Shaw's been the best hitter for the Brewers all year.
Ramos,
particularly tonight.
Ramos's control is just not dependable.
Now behind on Hernan Perez, 3-0. And he walked him on 4 pitches. And that'll bring up Travis Shaw with the bases loaded.
Well, that's always the nightmare for a manager and a team, is when you bring a reliever in and he walks the first hitter, because that changes the whole matchup.
I mean, Blevins could have done that.
Yeah.
And you could have left him in to face Shaw. So now Shaw, who has a home run, a single, and a double tonight, led off the 9th inning with an end of the bat lucky double against Gazelman, then made a base running mistake that took the Brewers out of that inning when he got doubled off second. Now he's got a chance to win it for Milwaukee in the bottom of the 10th. And it skips in for ball 1. So Ramos has thrown 5 pitches and he hasn't found the strike zone yet.
Well, interesting. Not only Mesoraco going out there, but Bautista coming in for a few words of advice. Now Flores coming in, and Island sending the entire core out there.
Takes a village. I mean, we've seen this with Ramos a lot.
We have. That was a different kind of trip from a pitching coach. That was not, come on, buddy, let's get your arm up. That was some tough love right there.
I mean, when you look at Ramos, is it mechanical? Is it a reluctance to throw strikes? What is it?
I think that he wants to throw every pitch perfect, as opposed to just going after hitters.
Well, he's got to go after this guy. A walk would end the game. Sogard carrying the winning run at third. Bases loaded, 2 out, bottom of the 10th. 1-0 to Shaw, and that's low. 6 straight out of the strike zone.
Sometimes I advise pitchers, when they're struggling with their fastball, throw a different pitch, throw a slider, curveball, even if you're behind in the count.
And there finally is a strike. Two-1, and it misses low and in, and now it's 3-1. And Ramos has his back squarely against the wall. And he throws it to the backstop for ball 4, and the game is over. Holy Hansel Robles. Ramos walks 2 to force in the winning run, and the Brewers win the game 4-3.
It's hard to explain that. Just squeezing the baseball, and Ramos just couldn't come up with a strike. Callaway's there with a shoulder pat.
Well, a dreadful end to a very interesting game for the Mets. They fought their way back in the 9th. Syndergaard found himself. Lugo and Gazelman held the fort, but ultimately Ramos walking a pair after being brought in after Blevins gave up the hit to Yelich, and the Mets fall in 10, 4-3.
We've seen this happen before, Gary. The deeper the Mets get into their pen, the worse off it gets at times. And this one, not even close. Skips off the plate.
Well, I mentioned Robles. Remember the one in Colorado last year that he airmailed to the backstop. This one bounced to the backstop.
To Arenado in that game.
Just a dreadful way to finish the game after the Mets had battled their way back all night against the vaunted Milwaukee bullpen. Got the game tied on the big hit by Bautista in the 9th, but ultimately it's the Brewers who win it in walk-off fashion on the walk from Ramos in the bottom of the 10th. There's your game summary brought to you by Purple Bricks. Jeremy Jeffress came in to get the big out in the 9th with the bases loaded, and then held on in the 10th to get the victory for the Brewers, and they even up the series at a game apiece.
You know, Gary, I don't say this too often, but sometimes when you watch players come in, the pressure of the moment seemed too big for Ramos. He just couldn't grip and throw the ball the way you're supposed to throw the ball, and you know, to walk Perez, who came up the right-handed batter, that's what Callaway wanted him to face and get out, and he didn't. He walked him on 4 pitches.
And of course, Blevins gave up the hit to Yelich on the curveball that set the stage, but Ramos has got to do better than that.
Yeah, I mean, there was so many good things that happened in this game. You know, Syndergaard coming back after 3 tough innings. Pitching 3 better innings. Lugo 17 innings scoreless streak now. Gazelman gets out a real tough jam. Bad base running by Travis Shaw. And as bad as that loss was to the Marlins on the last game of that road trip, this could be as uplifting a win to become against the Milwaukee Pen. It wasn't.
Well, you saw the Coors Light refreshing finish. You know, good news also on the offensive end.